We've fielded a lot of questions over the years here at Calvary. While these may not always be the only answers, they're our answers, and we hope they help you as you continue to grow in your faith.
The question is, this individual heard a study that said it wasn't so much a King James only study, but the teacher said that the King James version of the Bible was translated from better manuscripts by more godly men than, say, the New International Version. So is that true? How would you address that kind of a thing?
Yeah, I mean, the New King James, or in the King James, are translated from good manuscripts, just as the other newer translations are translated from good manuscripts. And so the manuscripts that we have some 5,000 Greek manuscripts. So we all have the same Greek manuscripts. And so now these manuscripts are dated. There's what's called the minuscules, and these are a different way of writing, and these writings were written by scribes, and so that's one way that they date them. And so the King James Version was translated from the minuscule Greek manuscripts, which means that they were translated from later manuscripts, probably from the 1500s, from Erasmus's Greek text and Robert Stephanus's text and Theodore Beza's Greek text. And they used these different Greek texts. Luther used these Greek texts. He was a godly man. The Geneva Bible used these Greek texts. But around this time, they wanted to establish a standard Greek text, not one that was favored by Calvinists, with their commentaries in it, such as the Geneva Bible, but one that all believers can use, and that was the King James Version. So they called 50 scholars from some 6 different universities, and they got together and they used these Greek texts, these manuscripts, as well as like the Coverdale Bible and the different translations that were already out, and they used them and they formed the New King James Version. Now the King James Version, I got the New King James so ingrained in me, but the King James went over a number of revisions, and then finally, the final revision was done in 1967, I believe. 1967, and then the New King James came out in the 1980s. Now, there are newer translations that came out, such as the ESV, New American Standard, and these different versions, and they use what they call an older Greek text, and those are translated from I don't even know how to pronounce the word. I think it's uncials, and they're larger capital letters. Weston's probably going to correct me on that, but they come from some older Greek texts that they found, the Textus Vaticanus, Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Vaticanus, and Codex Alexandrinus. And these texts are actually older. They date to some 350 to 400 AD. And so in textual criticism, they say, and their way of logic is, the older it is, the closer it is to the originals, well, then the more accurate it must be. And so therefore, whenever you read things, they say, well, this comes from a better manuscript, or this comes from the good manuscripts. All they're saying is that, it came from these older manuscripts than it did these newer ones. And so scholars debate it, and really it comes down to their preference, ultimately. In the end, it comes down to their preference. And, it's funny when people debate about manuscripts and translations. If you take a comparative Bible and you read a text, say John 3:16, for example, now some of them might not have the red letter, but but they all pretty much say the same thing. And there's only a couple of questions on a couple of different verses here and there. So it really comes down to preference.
You can find a lot more content, like dozens of podcasts through different books or topics in the Bible, by visiting calvaryhanford.com/podcasts.